New tonight, tragedy strikes again as 3 high school football players face serious injuries from a car crash. This just after a recent car wreck claimed the life of another Delaware high school student. Plus, some schools in the state are expanding their security protocols. We'll tell you about that. And it's no secret, Delawareans love their low-digit license plates. How you can score one for next to nothing. Those stories and much more straight ahead tonight on DETV News. Good evening and welcome to DETV News. I'm Matt Ford. Thanks for joining us tonight. Making headlines today, recent versions of telephone scams here in Delaware are using different tactics to persuade Delawareans to surrender their personal information or their hard-earned money. Police said in one scenario, a caller poses as a local police officer and tells the person answering the call, which comes from a blocked number, that they failed to show up in court. The perpetrator, in one case at least, called back using a spoof number that, get this, appeared to come from the Newcastle County Emergency Operations Center. Now, law enforcement agencies never request payment for fines, tickets, or bail. All such transactions are conducted by court systems and never over the phone. Electronic payments are not requested via phone for court-related matters. Police provided these tips seen on your screen to prevent being scammed. First, don't answer calls from unknown numbers. If you accidentally answer, hang up. Avoid wire transfers or prepaid cards for payments because scammers often use these methods. If a caller suggests hitting a button to stop receiving calls from them, don't do it. Actually hang up. This can be a trick to engage you in conversation. And never give out any personally identifiable information. This includes account numbers, social security numbers, passwords, PINs, or your mother's maiden name. Also, if a caller claims to be with a legitimate company, call back using the phone number on a statement that you have from them or their verified secured website to ensure it's legitimate. And if you are immediately pressured for information, be cautious. You are not obligated to answer any questions asked of you. Next, set your password for your voicemail. Some voicemail services are actually set up to automatically allow access to your mailbox if you call in from your phone. If a scammer spoofs your number, well, then they have access to your voicemail if you have not set up a password or PIN. Next up, use a call blocking tool. Talk to your phone company about it or a reputable app on your mobile device. And of course, for more information, head to the website on your screen where there's even more tips to protect yourself. And in other news, restoration of Wilmington's residency requirement for city employees is the goal of a new ordinance to be discussed at a special city council meeting. It's going to be held this Friday afternoon. An ordinance that would remove any residency requirements was tabled last Thursday evening after several hours of debates and days after Mayor Mike Przicki said the city is now hiring new employees without requiring residency. While that ordinance is now in limbo, 2nd District Councilwoman Shanae Darby is trying to get support for an ordinance that would require city employees to live in Wilmington for 5 years, but they would have a full year to move into the city instead of 6 months. A public comment period will be part of a special Wilmington City Council meeting held this Friday afternoon. Mayor Przicki and the city administration said last week that the city no longer was enforcing a residency requirement for new employees and that such a requirement would hamper efforts to fill a number of vacant positions. We'll keep you posted there. And 3 members of the Dover High School football team were seriously injured in a Sunday afternoon car crash near Felton. State police said the wreck happened along Berrytown Road when the car ran off the road, rolling into a ditch. The 17-year-old driver was ejected from the car, and 2 other boys, ages 16 and 17, were trapped and had to be rescued by firefighters. All 3 were flown to area trauma hospitals. At least one of the teens remains hospitalized. The crash comes just weeks after another crash down in Salisbury, Maryland, which killed a member of the Delmar High School football team and left a second student in critical condition. And a pair of Delaware lawmakers are calling on the first state to bring back the death penalty. State Reps Danny Short and Tim Dukes plan to introduce the legislation next session, which would apply to anyone convicted of the murder of a law enforcement officer or first responder. The Law Enforcement and First Responders Protection Act, if passed, would make the death penalty eligible for any person convicted of murdering a law enforcement or public safety officer. That includes firefighters, correctional officers, and paramedics. Both Short and Dukes are currently working on the bill's language before they introduce it next session. This comes in response to the recent conviction of Randon Wilkerson, who murdered Delmar Police Corporal Keith Heacook back in April of 2021. He was found guilty just last week on 16 counts, including first-degree murder and over a dozen other related charges. While Representative Short says that he would like to see the death penalty be an option for all murder convictions, he says they haven't been able to get there, and he calls this a start. In order for the bill to pass, it will need Democratic support, likely with a supermajority, meaning that 2/3 of lawmakers voting will have to support the legislation. Back in 2016, the Delaware Supreme Court struck down Delaware's capital punishment statute. Before that, there were 22 aggravating circumstances that, when linked to a commission of a murder, would have been warranted capital punishment. And using a mix of federal, state, and county funds, more than 100 electric vehicle charging stations will be made available at Newcastle County parks and libraries. County Executive Matt Meyer was joined by U.S. Senator Tom Carper and Representative Lisa Blunt Rochester on Monday to announce the 100 EV plugs plan. Newcastle County currently has 8 public EV charging plugs at 4 locations, with 4 more coming online soon at the newly opened Southern Park. The EV chargers being installed will be easier for customers to use with built-in credit card readers. Users can also pay with an app as well. Funding comes from the bipartisan infrastructure law signed in fiscal year 2022. Newcastle was awarded more than $400,000 of these funds in July. The 106 charging stations will be installed in 15 parks and libraries throughout Newcastle County. And down to Sussex County, some Sussex County schools are expanding their security protocols. The Seaford School District recently announced it acquired what's called Open Gate Weapons Detection Systems. It's an enhanced security screening technology. Officials say that the gates are not a response to a specific event, but rather a preemptive measure to ensure safety. The district says the systems embody a safe and accessible experience, and the portable nature of the equipment makes it an ideal tool for securing large events. The school has purchased 2 of these systems, and 1 will be used starting at November 3rd's varsity football game. Visitors will be required to go through the scanners that will be at the ticket booth entrance. Now, unlike traditional metal detectors, open gate systems do not require passage in a single file line, easing the flow of foot traffic into these events. Those going through the detectors will also be able to keep a hold onto personal items like phones, glasses, as well as money clips. And listen up, if you attended the Apple Scrapple Festival in Bridgeville, October 13th and 14th, the Delaware Department of Agriculture has issued a warning that green iguanas, considered an exotic animal here in Delaware, may have been given away as prizes by a private vendor at the fair. Well, a state veterinarian, Dr. Karen Lopez, says that while the green iguanas do not require a permit in Delaware, they should not be released into the wild as they could cause ecological harm. Our local climate and vegetation are also not suitable for the animal. They also carry several types of bacteria, including salmonella, and they can make people sick. The warning came with a list of do's and don'ts if a green iguana is now one of your household pets, including to always wash your hands after handling, don't let children or people with compromised immune systems handle the animal, and clean and disinfect the animal's habitat frequently. Anyone who received an iguana at the festival and no longer wants it is encouraged to call the Poultry and Animal Health section at the number seen below on your screen. And vandals have struck again at the Iron Hill Museum, this time with racist graffiti tagged on African American history trail signs. The museum has dealt with persistent vandalism since 2020, but it seems to have escalated recently. In the first week of October, racist slurs were scrawled on signs on the Newark Area Museum, prompting increased security concerns. Early this year, signs were broken, trails were littered with trash, and storage bins were broken into and cameras stolen as well. This summer, Iron Hill received a grant from the state of Delaware that will help upgrade the security system there, rebuild the African American trail, and replace a damaged fence as well. And in other news, to meet the growing demand amidst a national shortage of medical assistants, Christiana Care and Delaware Technical Community College is enabling some hospital employees to become certified medical assistants while continuing to work at their current jobs. Since the year 2021, the Medical Assistant Academy has graduated 18 medical assistants. The program consists of 180 hours in the classroom, followed by a 40-hour clinical internship. Medical assistants work alongside doctors and perform clinical and administrative duties. The program is intended for people who are not yet serving in clinical roles, such as environmental services, telephone operators, and patient escorts. The need for medical assistants is expected to grow by 14% by the year 2032. That's according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. And Delaware State University held a ceremony last week to rename Johnson Hall in DSU downtown after Hattie Dabney Michoud, the late former First Lady of then Delaware State College. The building, which is home to the Del State Nursing Program, is now known as the Michoud Nursing Hall. Mrs. Michoud, wife of 27-year DSC President Luna Michoud, was a registered nurse by profession prior to the couple's arrival at the college in 1960. She helped launch the college's nursing program in 1975. Michoud passed away at the age of 94 in 2009. Government officials joined Amtrak leaders on Monday to celebrate the completion of a renovation project at the Wilmington train station. Mitch Landrieu, Infrastructure Implementation Coordinator for the White House, praised the president, for whom the station is named after, and the bipartisan infrastructure law. He continued by saying there's $1 billion going to Delaware right now for 40 different specific projects, including $750 million for transportation in the roads and bridges, as well as airports. As for the renovations at the train station, those totaled $11 million, including new escalators, a new internal staircase, as well as accessibility projects. Previously, there was only an up escalator alongside a set of stairs. And get your calendars out. You're going to want to save the date. Wilmington City officials announced this week that the annual JC's Christmas Parade is going to return to downtown Wilmington on Saturday, November 25th at 11 a.m. This cherished holiday tradition coincides with Small Business Saturday. In its 59th year, the parade will feature floats, antique cars, local celebs, marching and string bands, as well as other performers. As always, the star of the show will be Santa Claus himself. Children at the parade are encouraged to write a letter to Santa and drop it off as he passes by. And if you include a complete mailing address, your child will receive a response from the big man himself. And listen to this one. It's almost time for Tag-A-Palooza. The Delaware Division of Motor Vehicles has announced its annual low-digit tag release that will begin Monday, November 6th. The DMV says Tag-A-Palooza 2023 will feature 5 days of online giveaways and 4 in-person events. Anyone interested in joining the online lottery to win a low-digit tag must register in advance. Registration began this past Monday, October 23rd, and will continue each day through Thursday, November 2nd. Now, you may only register once per driver's license or identification card. To register, visit dmv.de.gov/taglottery. And from November 6th through November 10th, the DMV will randomly select winners for each of the 5 days. Registration does not guarantee that you will receive a low-digit tag. However, registration is required to be entered into the drawing. All winners will receive a standard blue and gold license plate upon completing their title work. If the tag number qualifies and if they wish to purchase a black and white or stainless steel tag, once they have completed their title work with the DMV, they can do so through the Delaware Historic Plate Company. We know how sought after those are. Making headlines today, calling Wilmington policing practices a, quote, abuse of power. The ACLU has filed a federal class action lawsuit against the department. Mayor Mike Przicki called the lawsuit, quote, offensive, and said the city will vigorously defend itself in court. The American Civil Liberties Union of Delaware and Wilmington, along with the NAACP, Delaware State Conference of Branches, accused Wilmington police of violating constitutional protections against reasonable stops, searches, and arrests. The organization said its own investigation last year found evidence of racially biased policing. The lawsuit claims unconstitutional practices were carried out by the Operation Safe Streets program. It's a partnership with the Delaware Department of Corrections. The lawsuit alleges the program has not made the city safer, but rather has been used to harass and terrorize Black communities. The suit also claims Wilmington did not monitor the officers assigned to Operation Safe Streets and failed to record and preserve information related to the misconduct. In a statement, the ACLU said the total lack of oversight and a blatant disregard for the rights and well-being of the public was shameful. Mayor Mike Przicki responded that Wilmington police officers treat people equally and with respect under very difficult conditions. He addressed that the city does not tolerate discriminatory practices. The lawsuit seeks in part a monitor be appointed to oversee the department's compliance with remedying the legal violations. And speaking of lawsuits, a group of 33 states, including Delaware, are accusing Instagram of harming young people, particularly young girls. The states are suing Meta, that's the parent company of Instagram and Facebook. Attorney generals in the states allege that Facebook and Instagram were designed with features that addict kids and teens to their platforms. The suit was filed Tuesday. It's the result of an investigation led by a bipartisan coalition of attorney generals including California, Florida, and New Jersey. The suit follows damning newspaper reports in the Wall Street Journal that found Meta's own research confirmed the harm that online can bring. One internal study at Meta found that Instagram makes thoughts of suicide and eating disorders worse for young girls. The suit seeks financial damages and restitution to an end of practice that violates the law. In a statement, New York Attorney General Letitia James said teenagers and children are suffering from record levels of poor mental health and that companies like Meta are to blame. Meta responded that the company was disappointed that the states did not seek working with the company instead of a lawsuit. To Kent County now, where two men, one of which was armed with a handgun, carjacked a vehicle in the parking lot of Sam's Club on Route 13 in Dover. This happened Tuesday night. Police say the victim, a 26-year-old Magnolia man, was approached by the suspects around 7 p.m. One of the suspects took the victim's car, while the second man fled in a backup car. The stolen vehicle was a 2019 Dodge Charger Scat Pack with Delaware tag 223742. Anyone with information about the crime is asked to contact Dover Police at 302-736-7130. And the Delaware Interscholastic Athletic Association, also known as DIAA, will hold a special meeting Thursday to determine whether 3 Middletown football players can take the field against Salesianum this weekend. The athletes have transferred from Seaford to Middletown high schools. Current regulations enforced by the DIAA require an athlete to sit out for a year when transferring schools. The athletic organization says the regulation discourages recruitment among schools, but at least 2 state legislators believe the rule actually harms young people, many of whom stay in school so that they can play sports. The 3 players applied for a waiver of the rule last month, but they were rejected by the DIAA Board of Directors. Legislators on a task force looking into DIAA practices said the boys should be allowed to play. This includes Valerie Longhurst, a Bear Democrat, and Democrat Nicole Poore, also of Bear. Waiver hearings are held in executive session, so the meeting is not open to the public. And Newcastle County Police are asking for the public's help in tracking down a burglary suspect. County officers are looking for 39-year-old Jason Geiser, seen here. Geiser has several warrants out for his arrest on burglary and theft charges. Police say Geiser has recently been active in the Cranston Heights area and other neighborhoods near Price's Corner. He's believed to be responsible for several burglaries of occupied homes during the nighttime hours. He's described as a 6 feet tall man, 200 pounds, with blue eyes and blonde hair. Anyone with information on his whereabouts is asked to contact Newcastle County Police at the email or phone number seen on your screen. And former State Senator Colin Bonini is running for Kent County Register of Wills. The current Kent County Register of Wills is Democrat Harold Brode, who won the position in 2012, but the seat is up for election next year. The Register of Wills appoints personal representatives to administer estates and assist the public in the preparation of all required forms. Bonini seeks the post after serving as a state senator in Kent County for 28 years before losing a 2022 GOP primary to Eric Buxton. Buxton then went on to win in the general election. Bonini is no stranger to running for political office. In 2010, he ran for state treasurer and lost to Democrat Chip Flowers by just over 6,000 votes. Then in 2016, he ran for governor but lost to current Governor John Carney. Bonini entered the gubernatorial race again in 2020, but lost in the GOP primary to Julianne Murray, who was ultimately defeated by John Carney. And Newark voters will head to the polls in early January to elect a mayor following the recent resignation of former Mayor Stu Markham. The election will be held on January 9th, 2024. Interested candidates may file petitions by Monday, December 11th to be eligible for candidacy. Stu Markham announced his resignation back in September after reportedly making inappropriate comments to his coworkers. His resignation became effective October 18th. The winner of the election will serve through April 2025. For more information, or if you have questions, you are asked to contact the city's secretary office with the information seen on your screen. And Governor John Carney and Delaware's Chief Information Officer Gregory Lane announced high school and college students can register for what's called Cyber Start America and Cyber Fast Track programs. These national programs provide participants with the opportunity to explore their potential cybersecurity talent and assist Delaware students with gaining problem-solving skills that enhance knowledge post-graduation. With cyber attacks happening every day to well-secured, high-profile organizations, Lane says the need for this next generation to fill the skills gap in cybersecurity is so essential. The programs both offer a series of online challenges that allow participants to act as cyber protection agents to solve cybersecurity-related puzzles and explore related topics such as code breaking, programming, networking, and digital forensics. Students who do well in the program can earn access to scholarships and advanced training. During the previous competition, Delaware had 261 high school student participants with 6 award winners in Cyber Start America and 76 college students with 5 award winners in Cyber Fast Track. To see more about this program and last year's winner, visit Delaware's Cyber Start America and Cyber Fast Track webpage, again seen there on your screen. And anyone with safety concerns about trick-or-treating or just want to have a little Halloween fun can join in on one of the trunk-or-treats happening soon. Many organizations, including police or fire departments, as well as churches, offer the safer, less spooky alternative to traditional trick-or-treating. During the events, adults decorate the trunks of their vehicles, seen here, in Halloween-themed decor and hand out candy or other treats to little ones in costumes in their own communities. Origins of the practice appear to be church groups in the mid-1990s who often billed them as fall festivals. People go all out with cool themes, balloons, and goodie bags, as well as giveaways. The trend has gotten so big that party stores now carry what they call trick out your trunk kits to deck out your car.
Topping the news, Wilmington City Council will vote Monday night to consider a new residency ordinance. It maintains a 5-year employee residency requirement while creating a group to study the best course of action for future hires. It also gives new employees 1 year to move into the city and establishes a 5-year maximum residency requirement for employees. The city has grappled with this issue for years. The law was set for removal during a recent city council meeting, but was tabled after dozens of residents came out in opposition to dropping the law. City administrators say the residency requirement makes it tough to hire new employees and prevents the city from filling critical jobs. The group is charged with coming up with a proposal designed to identify ways for residents to apply for open positions, create incentives to move into the city of Wilmington, and to find ways to ease financial burdens for renting or buying in the city. A final report from the group would be due July 1st of 2025. An Ellesmere man will serve 15 years in prison for forcing his own son to hard labor 7 days a week. It's Delaware's first conviction under a forced labor law passed nearly a decade ago. 34-year-old Martin Ortiz Lozano pled guilty to 2 counts of child abuse in the first degree and 1 count of human trafficking of a minor. Reports indicate Lozano brought his 11-year-old child to Delaware from Mexico and forced him to work every day in 2021. The child didn't attend school and was assaulted on a daily basis. The victim underwent a long and complex surgery to repair facial fractures, a collapsed nasal passage, displaced teeth, and other injuries. Attorney General Kathleen Jennings called the abuse inflicted by the person the child should have been able to trust the most as unthinkable. In other news, from the AG's office, a developer of a 55-year-plus community in Kent County has agreed to pay $225,000 to settle a lawsuit. That lawsuit claims the developer misled residents. Attorney General Kathleen Jennings announced the settlement after fighting with Regal Builders, LLC since 2019. The lawsuit calls out the developer for misleading and deceptive statements in advertisements. It also says the company failed to provide the disclosures required for potential buyers in the Villages of Noble Ponds community. Among other things, the lawsuit says the developers gave the buyers the false impression the community's clubhouse was an amenity. Instead, it's privately owned and residents can't participate in its management. Regal Builders denies all claims in the lawsuit, but agreed to fork over the funds, which will be distributed to the residents and used to pay administrative costs of the settlement. A threatening social media image reported by Cape Henlopen and Sussex Central High Schools turned out to be a hoax. That, according to Delaware State Police. The Sussex County Schools contacted police Wednesday afternoon after an image of a gun and the threat to schools was circulating on social media. The police investigation revealed the image has been circulating nationally for several years and there was no credible threat. Even though it was all a bad hoax, police say you should always call 911 to report suspicious activity. And if members of the ACLU and Lead-Free Delaware get their way, the state will be installing new filters in schools by January 1st. The two groups say the state isn't doing enough to resolve the lead-tainted water found in schools across the state. A contractor hired by the state found 19 school districts and 2 charter schools had lead levels above the threshold deemed safe for drinking by the Environmental Protection Agency. The Delaware Department of Education already pledged to install filters in the schools at a $3.8 million price tag, but can't promise those filters will be installed by the first of the year. The opposing groups say the state's efforts aren't enough and wants DOE to do more to expand its filter program. In other school-related news, a teacher at Odyssey Charter is the only American finalist for a major award. Melissa Tracy could win $1 million from the Varkey Foundation Global Teacher Prize. The international program has more than 7,000 nominations and applications from around the world. Tracy is now a finalist in the top 10. She stood out because of her one-of-a-kind studies program for food. Her class has a hydroponic lab where students produce organic fruits and vegetables. That's not all. The class donates more than 6,000 greens a month. If she wins, Tracy says she wants to equip every school in the state of Delaware with similar growing systems. She says that's the way to prepare students for the future. Sticking with school news, the Community Education Building honored 5 educators at its Excellence in Education event this week. It was hosted by Ben and Thayer DuPont. The purpose of the event was to recognize great strides in education and to discuss the need to address education inequity. Honorees included Sarah Baker, head of Tower Hill, Aaron Bass, Chief Executive Officer of the Eastside Charter School, and Linda Jennings, Chief Executive Officer at the Community Education Building. Habitat for Humanity may be known for building affordable housing, but the organization also did something special for Brandywine Street just off of 12th Street in Wilmington. The organization brought life to a piece of property too small for a home. The land had become a dumping ground and an eyesore in the area. Thanks to Habitat volunteers, a ribbon-cutting ceremony was held on the space, which now has benches, tables, along with a community barbecue pit and newly planted trees for residents to enjoy. The funding came from the Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control. Those living in the area are thankful for the help from DENREC and Habitat for Humanity. And while there have long been services to support men who are released from prison, that hasn't been the case for women. That changed recently with the opening of a women's re-entry program at St. Francis Hospital. The program is the latest from the Hope Commission, a Wilmington nonprofit that offered re-entry services for men since 2014. The women's program is located at the hospital in Wilmington and joins forces with the Healthy Village program there. Services offered will include cognitive behavior interventions, case management, workforce readiness, and trauma-informed re-entry services. The goal is to keep female offenders from returning to prison and to foster healthier lifestyles outside of prison. The program's coordinator says the center is a safe place where women can unload and seek help without judgment. Anyone needing services can call the number on your screen. And plenty of residents will be thankful for some life-saving devices donated by Delmarva Power. For the 23rd year, the utility company donated smoke and carbon monoxide detectors for the State Fire Marshal's Office and the Wilmington Fire Department. The Fire Marshal's Office got 1,000 smoke detectors to give to the public. 250 carbon monoxide detectors went to the city for distribution. Employees from Lowe's unloaded pallets for both agencies to receive. Anyone in the city who needs one of the detectors should contact the Wilmington Fire Department. The others in the state should contact the State Fire Marshal's Office or their local volunteer fire company. Bargain hunters, get ready. The whale of a sale is back just in time for the holidays. It's billed as the largest garage sale in Delaware. The sale will take place Saturday, November 4th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Concord Mall. This is the 38th year, except for years during the pandemic. The sale benefits the Junior League of Delaware. Admission is free. The sale is known for its high-quality goods, including holiday decor, evening wear, clothing, babies and children items, and much, much more. In the past, shoppers have been known to camp out on the sidewalk to be the first customers inside. This year will feature an expanded boutique area with designer clothes and wedding gowns. There is also a small furniture section with gently used coffee and end tables, along with office chairs. And finally tonight, fans of Starbucks are in for a treat. Along with getting their daily coffee fix, Starbucks has released a new line of holiday cups and even some ornaments. Prices range from $5 to $28. You can also purchase a Christmas and holiday blend of coffee in a 1-pound bag for $15.95. Plenty of stores are stocked with the holiday goodies for coffee buffs. And of course, you can always shop online. Yes, it is that time of year. That's going to do it for this edition of DETV News. Be sure to watch us on all social media platforms and hit that like and share button. You can also catch our updates on Comcast Channel 28 at 7:30 p.m. every Tuesday through Thursday. I'm Lauren Wilson. Thanks for watching, and be sure to join us next time.